Looking at all this, I could hardly understand why this all happened. I guess some people are just greedy or stupid beyond belief. Recently, I was an extremely happy person with no problems and with a company that was making good money. In fact, she brought in a lot of money thanks to government contracts. I have a wife who loves me and children who are happy and healthy. I guess I had everything. That explained why some brat tried to take it from me. That someone was Hal Johnson. That's what I saw on the floor. Well, let him enjoy hell, because if anyone deserves to be there, it's him. I've been a businessman for most of my adult life, experiencing the good and bad that comes with it. There will always be people with whom you can form long-term relationships, and those who are simply trying to scam you. Hal Johnson was one of the latter. My life business model was simple. Help those who need it, and maybe you will be helped when you need it. I had help from my relatives and several small businesses in the city when I wanted to start my own small computer store. Nothing big, just a niche business of buying and selling some secret computer components. Of course, I didn't start with this right away. In the beginning, I was just fixing broken computers, writing a bit of code, and developing custom components for very specific business needs. I started alone, and as I acquired clients, I hired employees. I have negotiated several contracts with several colleges and small businesses. These were the same small businesses that helped me get started in my current form, and you can be sure that I gave them a discount. I did most of their work at cost. The local college signed the contract because I was an alumnus and I was hiring students from the college's computer science school. I can't tell you what components I'm working on because if I did, I'd have to kill you. Just kidding, I've always wanted to say this. No, actually, I would have to kill you, so don't ask. During the early years of my business, I met and fell in love with a charming brunette named Julie. I don't think it was love at first sight for her, but for me, it definitely was. I was crazy from the first word. I eventually won her heart and we got married. In the early years, we struggled to make ends meet, but she did a great job. I made her the CFO of our company because she had a knack for handling money. One afternoon, while I was having lunch at a local diner, a stranger approached me. He didn't ask permission, he just sat down opposite me and started talking as if we were old acquaintances. I don't lose my temper easily, so I let him do the talking. He was talking about how he could help me make a ton of money and keep it out of the government's reach. After a few minutes of him talking, he sounded more like an adult from the Charlie Brown cartoon. I didn't miss a single bite. I really like the fried beef and gravy dinner in this diner, gluten-free, of course. After he finished his tirade, I reached for my coffee and looked at him. No, how he sank. I wanted to play with the new troublemaker in my life. I don't do business with people I don't know. Introductions are required. You obviously know me, so who the hell are you? My name is Hal Johnson and I. Interrupting him, well, you know who I am, but you clearly didn't do your homework before rudely interrupting my lunch. So let me tell you how I do business. First of all, don't ever bother me during lunch. Secondly, my business only does business legally with established companies that are vetted by my people. Thirdly, I have too much at stake, so nothing illegal is ever done by me or my people. Fourthly, the answer is no, just because I don't like you. He gave up and ran away. You don't understand, we can get rich from this deal I'm offering. I'm already rich enough. Now leave before you see the other side of me. Slipping out of the cabin, believe me when I say, I can't leave it like this. We'll meet again. Damn, now I've lost my appetite for apple pie. Hal Johnson said he couldn't leave it like that, and now apparently I can't either. Being who I am, I had people who knew people. My people used computers to communicate with people who had all your information on their computers. I asked one of my most trusted computer geeks to start a preliminary review of Mr. Van Hal Johnson. My main geek's name is Harold Watson, but we call him the Monster. He is 6 feet 5 inches tall and weighs 250 pounds. He is a muscular genius who loves children and is so shy around girls that he freezes when trying to talk to one outside of work. I consider him one of my friends. I told him about my lunch and asked him to begin checking on Mr. Hal Johnson. Keep your investigation a secret for now and let me know as soon as you find anything. Don't check the government databases until you talk to me, okay? No problem, boss. I'll call you as soon as I'm done. You don't expect any trouble, do you? I hope not, but this guy is a little confusing to me. The monster looked worried because he knew that my premonitions were rarely false. I better get started. I don't like this. With that, I decided to head home early and spend time with my family. My wife took today off work to get home early and take care of the kids. I found my wife in the kitchen adding the finishing touches to dinner. Sneaking up behind her to kiss her neck, I was just inches away from her. Don't even think about it. What? Me? Uh, I didn't do anything. We both laughed at each other. She turned around, looking at me, so I grabbed her, pulling her towards me. I was closer this time. Your spider sense must be weakening with age, or is it because of the incredibly hot feeling? Most likely due to age, she smiled wickedly now. But I'm more than ready to get him into bed right now, and he can try to please me the best way he knows how. Well, I don't know, maybe I should wait, and I'll take one of those little blue pills to make sure I'm on top. No way. The last time you took one of those pills, it took 3 hours. Besides, the kids will be home soon, and I need to finish dinner. Okay, no blue pills. Running upstairs to our bedroom, we began shedding our clothes along the way. I love you, sweet. I love you too. Now let's get up and finish dinner before the kids get home. The kids returned home from school, and we had a nice dinner. As our children grow and our business grows, we rarely have time for this. But when we do, it's always a great time. After dinner, we cleaned ourselves up and went to bed. One of the best things in life is going to bed with the woman of your dreams and waking up with her in the morning. Even though we own the company, we don't always have the same schedule. I usually have meetings outside the office, while my wife takes care of business in the office. But today, we went to work together. As soon as we walked through the door, the monster greeted us. Boss, we need to talk now. He didn't look too happy, and it felt like it was yesterday. Julie asked what was going on, and I told her about yesterday's dinner and what Mr. Bix and Hal Johnson had told me. I knew Hal Johnson in college, but I doubt he's the same person. There was a worried look on her face as she said this, and the tone of her voice alarmed me. I looked at her. What? Was her answer. Now looking at the monster, tell me what you found out when we get to my office. We walked into the office and closed the door. Okay, what's bothering you so much? Boss, according to my information, this guy has ties to organized crime. It seems he owes these guys money, and Julie's reaction to his name confirms my suspicions that you were targeted. My wife. Now, monster, you have no proof that I am the reason he approached my husband with this proposal. The Hal Johnson I knew was a good guy and wouldn't get involved with gangsters. Julie, I checked on him. He's the same guy you dated in college. How many Hal Johnsons could be in the same college at the same time as you? And he's actually connected to organized crime. Sorry, boss, but I got into the Fed's database, although you asked me not to do this. I had to confirm the data. It's okay, monster. Looking at my wife, Julie, it looks like you were more involved with that guy in college than I would have liked, and I think you're letting old memories cloud reality. You and I will talk in a minute about your relationship with your boyfriend Hal. Now she glanced at me. Monster, I think it's time to notify the feds and tell them about our new friend. I already did. Sorry, I called them before I talked to you, but with our government contracts, I really had no choice. They started investigating as soon as I called. That's good. Now you understand why I rely on you so much. Thanks, boss. I'll get back to working on this guy. I have a bad feeling about this whole thing. Go and do your thing, and thank you. Turning his attention to my wife. Okay, let's go. Honey, I don't have anything to say. We dated in college. He was a nice guy, and we had fun together. What kind of fun? Well, She couldn't look me in the eye. Julie, you are my wife, and I love you more than you can imagine. It was love at first sight for me, and yes, I know what's wrong for you, but now is not the time to hide things from me. I understand you slept with him, but if you still have feelings for him, you better tell me now. Darling, I have no feelings for him, except memories of another life. Really? Then do you want to explain the look on your face when you heard his name? I'm starting to see how nervous she is. Honey, whatever happened between me and Hal was nothing. Are you jealous that Hal and I? Jealous, envious, angry as hell, you're right. You are my life, and now the connection between you and this guy worries me greatly. Even after the information the monster gave us, it seems that you are protecting your old boyfriend. Why? Do you have contact with this guy that I need to know about? Because if there is, you better tell me now. Now she's starting to look upset. Honey, I haven't talked to Hal since we broke up. It was hard for him, but it was his fault because I caught him cheating. That's all, really. You said he was a good guy, but he cheated on you. Is that your definition of a good guy? Now, are you hiding something from me? Anything else? No, honey, I'm not hiding anything. Okay, looks like this is getting over the edge quickly. Now I have the FBI running around because of his connections to organized crime. That means my family is in danger, and I know I'm going to have to dig into this. I was just planning the damn thing. Vacation. This guy really pisses me off. Now, looking at her the way I have for years, if anyone ever, and I mean ever, tries to hurt my family or some old guy tries to get back in touch with my wife, I swear to you that this will be the end of life. You have never seen me so angry, so pray that I don't have to go down this path. I think I scared her a little. I understand, honey. I know how much you love your family and would never allow or want to reconnect with any ex-boyfriend. I love you too much for that. Great. Now you need to go to work, and I need to protect the company and family. Something was bothering me about my wife and her ex-boyfriend. I needed to find out what was going on. It's time to activate Stop Silent Tactical Operations Protocol. Once a stop call comes in, absolutely nothing can stop it until tactical commands say otherwise. As for the protocol, I'm also a problem until they prove otherwise. Stop literally invades every aspect of a person's privacy to determine whether they are a threat to any aspect of the company, be it commercial or personal. Commercial refers to any part of the business operation itself that may be damaged or disrupted. The personal aspect means interfering with my family, my employees, or me personally in any way. This was a precaution I established a long time ago, and also the reason I have government contracts. I'm also the only one in the company who knows about this last line of defense. Not my wife, not the FBI, not the federal agencies with whom I have contracts do not know. Other than the stop people, there is only one person outside the company who knows about this, and he runs a government agency that has 3 initials and the guys have computers and guns. To make sure I remain honest, they work in the shadows periodically to keep an eye on me and the company. As I said earlier, I am an honest businessman. Next, I needed to make sure my family was safe. Guards were assigned, but were ordered to keep their distance unless necessary. With the way the FBI was called by the monster, I knew it was only a matter of time before they showed up at the office. I was hoping they would look at the organized crime angle first before Mr. Betrayal Johnson spotted them and ran out of town. I checked with Monster before going home to see if he found anything new. According to him, he followed Hal Johnson over the past 15 years and learned that he was married to Angela Martin maiden name. They had 2 children, Mike and Emma. He worked as a middle manager in a certain defunct company real estate in Peoria until his wife caught him cheating on the receptionist and filed for divorce. She also sued the company, and they had to pay out a large sum because they did not comply with the anti-flirting clauses in the cheating spouse's employment contracts. Due to the amount of compensation and poor management, the company quickly went bankrupt. Oh yeah, guess who owned the company? The same organized crime group that Mr. Piz Hal Johnson is said to still be, or should I say, still be associated with. Monster, I need you to send everything you have to the FBI, but under no circumstances should you tell my wife or anyone else at the company what you found, understand? Of course, boss, but why hide this from your wife? I need to keep her safe, so don't give her any information about her ex-boyfriend. Understood. With that, I walked into my wife's office to take her home. When I approached her office, she was talking on the phone, presumably about company business, but as soon as she saw me, she abruptly ended the conversation, looking like I had caught her hand in a cookie. Darling, I haven't seen you. Um, how long have you been standing here? What's wrong? You look worried. Nothing happened. I just didn't expect to see anyone standing there, that's all. Well, then let's go. The working day is over. Let's go home. She turned off the computer, picked up her purse, and followed me out of the building. Our ride home was silent, and she seemed anxious the entire way home. The kids were waiting for us when we entered the house. What's for dinner? We're hungry. Look, guys, I've had a rough day, so let's order some pizza today. We'll have a family meeting after this. There's something very important I need to talk to everyone about, okay? Since we don't have pizza often, everyone agreed. As Julie and I get older, we eat healthier and increase our physical activity. Plus, it's nice to order pizza from Mario's Pizza every now and then. I installed their computer-based online ordering system along with their mobile app for Android users, significantly reducing the price, by the way. Yes, you guessed it, he helped me start my business. Now his son John runs the pizzeria and has expanded the business to launch a line of frozen pizzas for regional grocery stores. As you can imagine, this business provides employment to a good number of local people and is of great importance to the community. He loves the city and still works at the original store his father opened 40 years ago. The pizza delivery guy turned out to be Paul, who has a crush on my daughter Bethany. Beware of guys who want to date your daughter. Sure enough, Bethany opened the door, and a few minutes passed before the pizza appeared in the doorway. I know that if they were making out on the porch before I got my pizza, he wouldn't get a tip. Bethany made Paul bring pizza into the living room while I put the new Godzilla movie on the Blu-ray player. Hey, Dad, Paul brought the pizza. I see. Hi, Paul. How are you? The boy looked nervous. Hello, sir. I, I, I'm fine, sir. Bethany nudged him in the side. Sir, Mr. Golden, sir, there's a movie coming out on Friday, and I'd like to invite Bethany to come with me, if you don't mind. Sir? I smiled along with my wife and other daughter. I wanted to torture the guy a little more, but I felt sorry. Plus, the pizza was getting cold. Sure, Paul, I think that'll be fine. But you know the rules. Nothing that gets you hurt or in trouble after the movie, and she has to be home by 11:00 p.m., okay? Yes, sir, no problem. I was going to take her out to dinner after the movie and bring her straight home. Sounds like a good evening. Put the pizza here and there you go, no change needed. Thank you, Mr. Golden. I'll see you at school tomorrow, Bethany, he said as he turned and walked out the front door. After the door closed, everyone except Bethany laughed. Dad, did you really need to talk about the rules? God, you embarrassed me so much. Oh, honey, I wasn't that bad. Now let's eat and watch Godzilla, I said, doing a poor imitation of a Japanese accent. Godzilla is one of my wife's favorite monsters. Hell, we went to see this movie several times while it was in theaters. After the movie, it was time for the meeting. Since my wife knew some of the details of what was happening, I needed to tell the girls. Girls, I need to tell you some important things. There are some things going on in the company right now, and some problems will arise. I know you are not very aware of what we're in the store, but you're old enough to know a little bit. But this information can't be shared with others, okay? Our business is working with the government on some very important projects. Due to the nature of this issue, I've taken steps to protect the business, employees, and especially us as a family. You may see something unusual in the business when you come to me or Mom, and I don't want you to be scared by seeing the FBI there, okay? The youngest, Carla, asked, "What's going on, Dad? Why does the FBI have to get involved?" Not wanting to give too much away, I replied, "It's all because of the government contracts we have. Our company is required to tell the government if I think there might be a problem, that's all." Of course, I didn't say that they were assigned bodyguards. If the guards do their job correctly, they shouldn't be noticed. Now go to bed, and I'll see you at breakfast in the morning. I put the pizza box away while Julie got up to shower. She was just about to rinse the shampoo out of her hair when I walked in and hugged her, causing her to sigh so hard that it took my breath away. "I don't remember inviting you here, mister." "Just saving water, my beauty. Aren't you on the Water Conservation Committee, and isn't your campaign to reduce water consumption in full swing right now? Well, I'm doing my part as a responsible citizen and a trusted member of the community as required by society." She turned around, hugged me, and kissed me. "Okay, I'll share. I don't want to be accused of wasting our natural resources." She had an expression on her face that always made me shiver. Julie fell asleep quickly, but I was anxious and took several hours to fall asleep. I truly love my wife madly, but I remained unsure about her relationship with Mr. Van Hal Johnson. I needed to tread carefully until I received information from the Stop Associates. Getting up early in the morning, I prepared breakfast for everyone. Eggs, fruit, pancakes, and of course, coffee. I don't know what others say, but coffee is good for your health. The girls ate and headed to school while Julie and I finished our breakfast and cleaned up. "Honey, I have a couple of meetings today, so you'll have to drive to the office yourself, and I'll come over later," I told Julie, kissing her goodbye. "Okay, I still need to finish auditing the books, so I'll see you later." "Oh yeah, the annual audit. How's it going, by the way? Is there anything I need to know about?" "Nothing you need to know, honey. It's okay," she said as she walked out the door. She didn't seem terribly convincing. Getting into the car, I made the first call. "Let's make the first report." As you already know, protocol requires that your investigation be conducted first. Intermittent reviews and this request for review confirm that there was no coercion or deception on your part, and you are deemed suitable for information. You can continue. Stop Associates are already on the ground conducting internal reviews. All internal systems reviews will be completed by noon today. An external review of the actions of FBI agents and others will be completed by this time tomorrow. Okay, was he notified? Yes, sir. He is expecting your call. Thank you. Expect my return call at 12:15. At any other time, or if you do not hear from me, initiate Deep Destroy External Attack Protocol. Understood. I expected the next call to be less formal. "Hello. Mike, it's me. I was expecting your call. How bad is it?" "I'll find out after lunch, but I think it's bad. She's hiding something." "You are sure?" "I'm afraid so. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure it has something to do with her ex-boyfriend and the proposal he made to me at dinner yesterday." "Okay, what should I do?" "Keep her safe, no matter what. I don't even have to tell you what to do if you sense any danger." "No, no need." "Okay, I have to go. I'll stop by the office to check in with the monster and then go to lunch. I'm expecting an unwanted lunch companion. Be careful." "I will. Thanks, Mike." The monster was tracking my location using the GPS installed in my vehicle, so it was waiting for me when I entered. He informed me of FBI surveillance of a crime family in Peoria. Apparently, Mr. Pinenhow Johnson contacted them, and they made it clear to him that if he didn't make a deal with me, he was done by the end of the month. Apparently, they're still mad at him for making them lose so much money by cheating on that receptionist, since it was his actions that led to the court order to pay compensation to his ex-wife. He was persuaded to repay the money. They had no problem with his ex. She was just doing what any hurt woman does. I don't think he did it of his own free will. He was just trying to stay alive after making a very bad decision to cheat. But I do not care. My wife and the business are involved. Another bad decision made by my wife's ex-boyfriend. Also, the family thinks I might need some incentive if I don't cooperate. No specific details were recorded, but I'm still glad I appointed bodyguards in advance. I thank the monster for keeping me informed of Hal Johnson's investigation. Let me remind you that Monster loves kids, but is shy around girls. Hey, how was your date with Susie? You guys went out last weekend, right? Yeah, thanks for bringing us together. Why didn't you tell me she was so beautiful? Surprise. You know how I behave. I acted like a fool for the first hour. I couldn't speak. I couldn't help but laugh. Buddy, we warned her in advance about your shyness, so she knew what to expect, and trust me, she understood. Plus, her MIT PhD in computer science puts you on the same level. What? She has a degree? I thought you two would discuss your common interests when you talked. She said she was a cheerleader and got a degree from college, but didn't say it was from MIT. God, she's the most beautiful girl I've ever met, and she's smart. Wow, well, we cut dinner short because she joined me on a trip to the children's hospital and little Mary was feeling down and I wanted to cheer her up. You took a girl to the hospital on the first date? You're an old lady's man. The boy was made to blush. That's enough, okay? When I told Susie that I was a volunteer in the children's department and that Mary needed support, she wanted to go there immediately. How could I say no? I love these children. I know that makes you special to all of us. Will you have a second date? Yeah, but with all this going on here, I don't know when we'll be able to go. Don't worry about it. She'll be working here starting tomorrow. Surprise! Now being serious, and I was serious, I expect you to behave professionally during work hours because I don't want a sex scandal. After work. Well, you'll figure it out, I said, smiling. As I walked down the hallway, I could hear him say, "Oh, shit." I popped into the office to greet Julie. "How are you, honey?" She looked up and smiled. "Hello, darling. How was your morning?" Just made fun of the monster about Susie. That was fun. Oh yeah, I forgot about us setting them up on a blind date. Went well, I guess. He's already in love and doesn't even know it. I'm sure she'll tell him when she realizes she's in love too. Like you and me, huh? I didn't need to say that I was in love with you. I knew it from the moment I saw you. Do you remember how long you didn't show me any feelings, except for the kiss at the end of the date? I gave up. After 2 months of dating, I decided that you weren't interested, so you stopped calling, remember? She looked at the floor. I decided to focus on business and try to forget you. It took me a few weeks of immersing myself in work before I started to feel better. During that time, I never heard from you, so I guessed I was right, you didn't care. I even thought about asking one of the girls I knew from school out on a date to start the process of getting over you. But you suddenly called me. You didn't say anything other than "how are you?" or didn't try to find out why I didn't call. Do you remember how distant I sounded? I was still in love with you, but I didn't want to suffer anymore because of you, so I tried to say as little as possible. Julie was now looking at me sadly. I remember, Dennis. I remember everything. But you're wrong about one very important thing. I was already in love with you. I was so in love with you that it scared me. I've never experienced having such strong feelings for someone and didn't know what to do about it, so I held back. This way, you couldn't hurt me when you left me, and my life would be better. When you stopped calling me on dates, I decided that I was right. I dated guys I knew before you, trying to forget you, but I was a complete mess for several weeks. I compared them all to you, and they weren't even close to the top of the scale of men. Take it, you are the scale of men. No one can and will be able to compare with you. That's when I decided to call you, because I was happy only with you, but you didn't talk to me. I thought I was late. But you called again, didn't you? Now I smiled. You can guess what I did. There was no way I could let you go without a fight. I was determined not to hold back this time and show you that I really loved you. The second time I called, I asked you out on a date, remember? Yes, I remember. I was so excited when you invited me that I could barely contain myself. But I was still afraid. I was afraid that you were setting a trap or playing some kind of game with me, the type when they invite nerds for dinner and then laugh at him. But I didn't do it, did I? No, you didn't. When we met in the restaurant, you jumped up and kissed me so hard that all my fears disappeared. She was smiling deeply now. Yes, I know. I knew at that moment that you were mine and would be mine forever. The rest is history. I love you now more than I ever thought was possible. I couldn't live without you and would do everything possible to make sure you never leave me. That last part sounded more like an act of desperation than an expression of love. Honey, is something wrong? Surprised at the question, no, she answered too loudly, looking away. No, nothing's going on. This was exactly what I needed to hear. I knew something was very wrong, and she was involved. Come here. All I wanted at that moment was to hug her and never let her go. We hugged tightly, neither of us wanting to be the first to break the hug. We better get back to work, okay? With that, I kissed her softly on the lips. I love you. And I love you too, darling. I walked out of her office with my worst fears swirling in my head. She cheated on me with her ex-boyfriend and tried to take my company away from me. Noticing the time, lunch. This will be interesting, I thought to myself. I already knew that I was under surveillance, so I wasn't particularly worried about my safety. Hal Johnson wouldn't make any deal if he shot me, so I wasn't worried. No, such people try to influence others in other ways. Kidnapping, extortion, etc. When I got to the diner around 11:30, I found it wasn't as crowded as usual, so I was able to grab my favorite booth and order a special. The food is always delicious here. I had almost finished enjoying my meal, thinking that the trip had been a bad one, when he came in and sat down opposite me. At first I was disappointed that he came, but quickly changed my mind. A dark curiosity came over me, and I wanted to see his next move. I didn't show any emotion, I just sat and looked at him. The ball is on his side of the field. After all, his life was on the line. So, have you thought about what we discussed the other day? It will be beneficial for both of us, and we can make a lot of money. Oh, how nervous he looked. I thought a lot about your proposal and came to the conclusion that you and your proposal are complete nonsense. He didn't even look surprised. Come on, you're a businessman, and you're in business to make money, right? So what's the problem with making a lot of money on one deal instead of making little money on many deals? Who says I don't make a lot of money on one trade? We've seen your books. We know how much money you've made in the last 5 years and who you've made it with. I really think you could have made more with that General Daytonics deal last year. Now, I was really interested in his next statement, especially since I know who controls the books. Who showed you my books? Who do you think? Your wife. I was ready to throw myself over the table and choke his little neck when I realized the time. 12:10. I wasn't ready for deep yet, so. Listen, I want to wrap my fingers around your neck right now until you're blue in the face, and the way things work in this town, I'd probably get off lightly, but honestly saying, I don't want to ruin my lunch. I think you better leave now, or the next few hours will be very painful for you. You know what I mean. This shocked him a little. Okay, I understand the shock of finding out that your wife betrayed you in more ways than one, so I'll give you a little more time to realize that you have no choice. What did he mean when he said that my wife had betrayed me in more ways than one? The bastard was grinning now. I was with her. Recently, if you know what I mean. The scoundrel even dared to wink at me. His nose will heal, but it will take a team of doctors several hours to get it back in place. But if his words were true, my heart would not heal. When he swayed out of the diner, the other customers simply looked on in bewilderment. I've never even raised my voice in public, let alone hit anyone. I threw the 20 on the table and walked out without looking at anyone. As soon as I was on the street, I realized that my hand was torn and bleeding. I must have hit him harder than I thought. Surprisingly, the pain has not yet begun to be felt. In the car, I made a call a minute before 12:15. Report, please. Are you okay, sir? We received a report of your collision. Do you need assistance? No, give me the internal investigation report. After a short pause, okay, sir. Internal audits have been completed as promised, and no threats have been found other than unusual activity in the accounting department. It appears that detailed company financial records were emailed without permission, even though the audit was only scheduled through 3 days. The information was sent 3 weeks ago and included more data than was required for this type of audit. We are aware that your wife is the head of this department. We are strengthening internal controls over her activities. It has been discovered that financial information has been obtained and uploaded to the internet. Cafe 50 miles from Peoria, Illinois. An external investigation is ongoing and is expected to be completed by 12 p.m. tomorrow. Is there anything else? No, sir. The second stage of the stop protocol will be implemented as one of the company's key employees is now a suspect. Understood. I will contact this key personnel in a few minutes. If you do not hear from me by this time tomorrow, I authorize Deep to be activated. I ended the call. Upon entering the office, I noticed that the employees had stopped working and stood still. They looked at me. I forgot that my hand was still bleeding from Hal Johnson's face. What are you all looking at? Get back to work now. I had never spoken rudely to my employees before, so the shock on their faces brought me back to the present. Sorry, please just go back to what you were doing, okay? One of the office girls asked if I was okay. Yes, I'm fine, just go back to work, please. I walked slowly down the hallway toward my wife's office, dreading the conversation that lay ahead. If this scoundrel's words were true that he was with my wife, it would kill me, but I would still divorce her. Fidelity in marriage is absolute. I consider my marriage vows sacred and expect the same in return. When I walked into her office, she looked up and saw me standing there. The anguish on her face was obvious, and she immediately became alarmed. Then she noticed my hand. "Oh my God, honey, what happened?" she asked, walking around her desk and approaching me. "This is true," I asked quietly. She looked even more worried. "Really what?" "You and your ex, damn it," I exclaimed so loudly that it was heard in the neighboring offices, and the employees looked out to look in our direction. Hesitantly, "Me and Hal. I don't understand, honey. What do you mean?" "Enough, Julie. Stop this right now. You know exactly what I'm talking about, and you better start talking, or my next call will be to the lawyer." "What? What are you talking about? A lawyer? Why a lawyer?" "For our damn divorce. This is what a husband does when he finds out that his wife is a damn slut." Without thinking, she hit me in the face hard. I just stood there with a broken heart. Seconds later, the anger gave way to immense pain as my eyes filled with more tears than they could hold. I sat down heavily in a chair and burst into tears like a child. "I thought you loved me. Why did you do this? Why did you do this to us? Why?" She just stood there with a shocked look on her face, not saying a word. All she did was look at me in disbelief, watching me cry like never before. I was a broken man. Everything I valued was taken from me. Besides my children, my marriage was literally everything I ever wanted. The business was just a bonus that was provided for us and my employees. I'd be happier living in a box under a bridge with her than losing the woman I've loved for so long. Why, Julie? Why wasn't I enough for you? I love you so much, and you had to cheat on me with your ex-boyfriend. Don't worry, the doctors will fix the handsome guy's nose. He may not be as handsome to you as he used to be, and he will have breathing problems for a long time. What? What do you mean I slept with my ex-boyfriend? What the hell are you talking about? Is that how you hurt your hand? Breaking his nose. I know, Julie. I know about sending our financial records. He told me, and my people confirmed it. Do you want to explain that to me before I call the FBI to arrest you?" She collapsed on the chair opposite me, her eyes now unable to hold back the tears. "Honey, I'm so sorry. I had to do it. I had to send the notes. They forced me to do it. You have to understand, I had no choice. They were. You should have. You should have. You cheated on me because you had to. Nonsense. Explain to me why you had to have sex with him. Explain to me why you destroyed our marriage, why you destroyed our family. I didn't sleep with anyone. You have to believe me. I swear to everything I love, I didn't cheat on you. I didn't do it. She sobbed pitifully. Finally, she pulled herself together. Dennis, I didn't sleep with Hal. Please believe me. I would kill myself before I let him touch me again. Why do you think I slept with him? He told me, right after he told me, that you sent our financial records to him. Now tell me that bastard is lying. I swear I didn't sleep with him. He tried to force me, but I refused. What about financial records? That's how this whole story started. I had only been with him a few times before I caught him cheating. What I didn't know was that he installed hidden cameras in his room. He has a video of us having sex, and he was going to send them to you if I hadn't cooperated and given him what he wanted. If what you say is true, that was 20 years ago. You don't think I could tell what you look like. You gave birth to 2 daughters, damn it, and you're 20 years older. Don't you think that I would be able to tell the difference? I know every inch of your body. I know what it looked like then, and I know exactly what it looks like now. Damn, he was going to put it on the internet. You should have had them after he posted them. He blackmailed me with these videos, threatening to post them and send them to our friends and family. It would have ruined our reputation. Don't you understand? Don't you think your reputation could be restored once the truth came out? I really thought you trusted me after all these years and the love we shared. I was almost on the edge. All I did was sit, staring into space, collapsing from the inside. What are we doing here in our business, Julie? We sell computers and some components. We write software. Why are you asking? Oh my God, you really don't know, do you? You handle our money and you know where it comes from, but you really don't know what we're actually doing here. How could she not know this? Dennis, honey, what are you talking about? We have the most extensive line of classified computer equipment sold to the U.S. government. We have contracts worth millions of dollars to help the government guard its most valuable secrets. With that kind of power, don't you think I could take out little Hal Johnson on my own? Phone call. The volume and sheer anger of my voice once again brought the staff out of their offices. But you didn't have any trust in me to tell me what was going on, did you? You had so little faith in your husband's ability to protect his family that you instead succumbed to industrial espionage that could have sent you to prison for the rest of your life and destroyed this company and the lives of not only your family, but also our employees. Julie sat in silence for a couple of minutes, processing my last words. Oh my God, what have I done? I'm so sorry, but I was terrified when this scoundrel contacted me and said he would publish these videos. At first I refused, but he said that if I don't cooperate, he will hurt you or the girls. I couldn't let my family get hurt, I just couldn't. He proved he could hurt you. How did he prove it? How could he prove such an ability? He showed me pictures of how you were being followed and how easy it was for you to get into trouble. He had pictures of girls at volleyball practice and with friends. He said it would be very easy. You could have an accident and the girls would disappear. My girls, Dennis, I had to do it. I couldn't let my family get hurt. I just couldn't. She began another bout of crying. Well, there was no chance of that. You and the girls have been under guard ever since the monster gave us information about Mr. Hal Johnson. No one on this planet could harm you if they didn't have a small army. I took out my phone. Mike, it's time to come in. Be back soon. Julie looked at me with a very puzzled look. Dennis, what's going on? You and the girls are going on a little trip. I don't understand where we're going. Why? I don't want to leave you. I don't want to leave. Dennis, please don't make me leave. You can't make me leave. We need to talk. You have no choice. At that moment, Mike entered. Julie, this is Mike. He will take care of you and the girls. You will go with him and pick up the girls from school. You will do whatever he says. I won't leave you. Julie, listen. You have no idea how close you have come to destroying everything we have. Our marriage, our family, and our business could be taken away from us. If I don't act accordingly within the next 48 hours, I'm inclined to believe you when you say you didn't sleep with your ex-boyfriend, but you not coming to me when he contacted you and you're sending our financial records could ruin this company and everyone with it. Tied up. If you want a chance to remain my wife, you will go with Mike and do what I say. Julie was shocked when I mentioned the possibility that she might not remain my wife. I don't want to go, but I will if it means I have a chance to remain your wife. Mike will keep you and the girls safe. You wouldn't have gone with him if he didn't have my complete trust. He risked his life to save mine years ago when he didn't have to, so I know that he can protect you. What do you mean, he saved your life? I'll let Mike tell you, but you need to go before the FBI comes. She walked towards me hesitantly. I'm so sorry, please forgive me, she said, hugging me tightly. I held her close, affirming that she was still loved. You still don't understand how much I love you, do you? I think I'm starting to understand and realize. I love you too. With that, Mike and Julie turned and walked out of the office building. I knew he would take care of my family. He had a safe place where he could hide them. Only 3 people knew about his location. Mike, of course, I am a person in Washington, D.C. I know its location because I was there a few days after I was kidnapped a few years ago. Julie isn't the only one who can keep secrets. I was on a business trip in the capital when I was invited to spend a couple of days vacationing in the George Washington National Forest in a cabin that belonged to the family of one of the government contract negotiators. The cabin has been in the family for over 50 years. Jack Murphy was a good guy, and I had dealt with him before. I agreed as long as he notified his supervisor and his agency's ethics officer. He agreed that it was prudent and did so. I am an honest businessman and would never want to lose a government contract due to inappropriate behavior. I definitely needed a break and decided why not. So I rented a car and drove myself, using the instructions the negotiator gave me. The George Washington National Forest is not a small piece of land. The cabin was in a secluded location, offering quiet privacy and good deer hunting. The paved road turned into a dirt road, becoming a dirt road. As I was about to turn, a large black SUV came out of the woods and blocked my path. I locked the brakes and stopped just a few feet from the SUV. I started swearing at the driver behind the wheel. Next thing I know, masked men jumped out of the SUV and pointed guns at me. I put the car in reverse and tried to drive away, but they shot the tires and pulled me out of the car. I resisted as best I could until one of them hit me on the head with the butt of his gun. When I came to, I was tied to a chair. Having regained consciousness, one of my captors approached me. I see you have come to your senses. Okay, sorry for the blow to the head, but we couldn't let you leave. Are you feeling well enough to talk? Still looking around in shock, I saw that I was in a wooden hut. The fire crackled quietly in the fireplace, and I saw 2 other men at the table eating. I'm a little dizzy and could use some water. Did you really have to hit that hard? Sure, you can drink some water. Sorry for the hard hit, but you put up more of a fight than we expected, and my man got a little hot. The man who spoke to me was not particularly large, but he had muscles. The other 2 appeared to be normal in size and had pistols in holsters on their shoulders. You understand that I can't risk letting go of your hands, so you can hold a bottle of water, right? Okay? I'll help you. Why is he being polite? He tipped the bottle towards me so I could drink a little. Thank you. Now would you like to tell me why you kidnapped me? Sorry, Mr. Golden. We were paid to bring you here, and we were not paid anything else. Our benefactor should arrive soon to discuss some business with you. We are not interested in what he wants from you. We get money for work and do it. You understand, it's just business. Great. If you need money, I can pay more. Oh, I'm sure, but you see, our integrity is important to us. If we don't keep our word, what kind of people will we be? In this business, a person's word is important. Wonderful. Honest kidnappers, he laughed at that. Now relax, and this will soon be over. That's what I'm afraid of. He laughed at that too. I spent the next few hours in that damn chair, listening to the men who had tied me up so I could learn enough information to pinpoint my location. They started complaining that their client didn't show up and didn't pay them. They wanted to leave here because they knew that the search for me would soon begin. The longer they sat with me, the more they risked being caught. I was supposed to be at Murphy's booth at 5:00 p.m. on Thursday, and it must have been late. Moreover, the kidnappers could not hide the car I was driving after they shot out the tires. With each passing hour, their anxiety intensified. Now their conversations were about asking for some kind of ransom, since their client had not come to do business with me and pay them for their work, so their big score seemed to be gone. I was more worried that the talk would turn to just shooting me and moving on from this mess. I worried if I would ever see my family again or if my body would be found. How will my girls live without me? Who will walk them down the aisle on their wedding day? Will my grandchildren find out that their grandfather already loves them and they haven't even been born yet? Will my wife marry again? Will I be forgotten by the family I love so much? It's too much to lose. If I have to die, I will fight to the end. How about I go to the toilet? Come on, get off. Are you kidding me? Wait, you offered me water a while ago, so you're being polite, aren't you? What can I do? You have a gun. I'm asking you, please let me out of this chair and let me go out. The guy who had offered me water earlier told one of the other two to take me outside so I could relieve myself. The leader of the trio said, "He's right, we have guns, so if he tries something, use the damn gun." One of the guys came up to me and bent down and began to untie me. He also said that if I tried to run away, he would shoot me in both legs. I thanked him for letting me go. I got up and started walking. It was difficult since I had been tied up for so long. My head still hurt, but at least I didn't feel dizzy. I pulled my arms and legs, trying to restore blood circulation, which made the guy push me towards the door. Apparently, politeness has its limits. I needed to be prepared. This could be my only chance. Luckily, there was a toilet, and I found a free board that I could have used to hit the guy in the head if he wasn't paying attention. Admit it, these were city guys, and I'm a computer geek. I wasn't dangerous to them, so leaving the toilet with a piece of wood in my hands was not an expected event. I finished my business and prayed to God. I really wanted to be with my family again. I walked out the door holding the baton, and luckily he turned away, but as soon as he heard the door, he started turning in my direction. By then, I had already closed the distance between us and hit him on the side of the head, knocking him unconscious. I tried to grab his gun, but it was stuck in the holster. I panicked. I needed to get out of there. I ran into the forest, running as fast as I could. I didn't know where I was or where I was going, but maybe I could survive. I knew I was making noisy steps on every fallen branch and twig in the forest, but if I could get some distance away from the bad guys, I could hide. I must have been running for about 10 minutes, and my head started to hurt really bad. I think I was hit harder than I thought. I heard the kidnappers shouting threats after me. I decided to take the risk, so I kept running, falling and scraping my hands and knees on rocks and fallen trees, but I wasn't going to give up. The pain in my head intensified, making me feel dizzy, but I kept moving. As I crossed the road, I thought about running along it, but decided against it because the kidnappers would look for me in their car, knowing that I would find the way. I tripped over a large tree, deciding to take a short break, hoping the pain in my head would subside. Evening was beginning to come, and it was getting cold. I started shaking because I wasn't dressed for the weather. Now I had an additional problem: hypothermia. After allowing myself only a few minutes to rest, I set out again without any definite direction. I was running blind. I kept hearing the noises the kidnappers were making in the forest, which helped me since I always knew where they were, but I noticed that the noise they were making was getting quieter. I ran away, but where? My head started to hurt even more, and I had trouble keeping my balance. It got so cold that my fingers started to go numb as I lost the battle to stay warm. I was staggering as best I could through the forest when I noticed that I could no longer hear my kidnappers, so I must have gotten away from them. But I couldn't stay here on the street. I would have frozen to death if I had not found shelter. It felt like I had run and walked 100 miles, but I knew it was only a few miles at best. My whole body ached, and my arms were scratched from the sharp edges of all the fallen branches and rocks that I scraped against. After stopping for a few minutes to rest, I felt myself starting to leave. I knew I didn't have much time left. I asked God for help again. I looked around, hoping to see some signs of life, and in the distance I thought I saw a dim light. I had no choice. If I didn't go to the light, I would die by that tree. The pain in my head was so loud, it was deafening and very painful. The light grew brighter with every step, bringing me a little hope that maybe I could get out of here alive. It seemed like an eternity before I could clearly see the source of the light. If it had electricity, it probably had a telephone and I could call for help. As I approached the cabin, I noticed a car parked outside. Okay, someone must be inside and they can help me. I continued to stumble closer. I stopped in front of the clearing to make sure the kidnappers were no longer here. It was quiet when I approached the door. I started knocking on the door, screaming for help, when the pain in my head became so intense that I felt myself losing consciousness. I began to come to my senses, hearing the clatter of dishes, I think, and footsteps. Was someone whistling? I opened my eyes, trying to figure out where I was, but where I was, it was dark. I raised my head, and the pain returned, causing me to cry out in pain. I wouldn't do that if I were you. You have a bad bruise on your head. Just lie down for a minute, and I'll get you something to drink. It was a man's voice speaking to me, obviously the owner of the cabin. I hope so. He brought me a cup of coffee. Here, come up slowly and drink this. It's strong, but it's just what you need right now. I took a sip, and he wasn't kidding about how strong it was. You want to tell me about this? Why were you knocking on my door at night, in the state you are? Thanks for the coffee. My name is Dennis, and I was kidnapped. I escaped after hitting one of the guys with a baton after they let me out to relieve myself. Kidnapped, huh? I can believe that story since you're definitely not dressed for deer hunting. Where am I, by the way? Well, you're in my booth. My name is Mike. Nice to meet you, as he held out his hand for me to shake. We're about 15 miles out of town. I've been spending most of my time here these days. I don't need most people. Why? Long story. I have time, and I'm a good listener. I don't really like talking about it, but talking to strangers is sometimes easier. Mike, I don't tend to judge people. A person is defined by his actions and the motives that drive him. Tell me your story. Okay, to get to the bottom of it, I was in the special forces. I was forced to do terrible things, and it took its toll on me. A lot of my friends couldn't handle it. I didn't want that for myself, so I moved here to get away from it all and enjoy some peace of mind. I've been here for many years, and I feel good again. I think I'm ready to be back among the people. I'm glad. I'm glad you're feeling better, and especially glad you're still here. I'm afraid those guys who took me are still looking for me. I don't want them to catch me here. They'll kill me for sure. But I don't want you to get hurt. Maybe it's better for me to leave. Don't worry about me. Remember, SWAT, I can take care of myself and you. You need to rest before you can move. Get some sleep, and I'll take you to town when you wake up. You're a good person, Mike. I can see it in your eyes. Okay, I'll sleep, but only for a little while. They'll be looking for me, and I don't want my family to worry. Family, huh? Yes, Mike. Family. Wife. Julie and 2 girls. Bethany and Carla. They worry me, but without them, I would be completely lost. They are literally my life. Everything else I have, they're just nice additions. What else do you have? A computer company worth millions in government contracts. I think that's why I was kidnapped. The guys who took me said they were waiting for someone who wanted to talk about business. A sudden wave of pain hit me. Damn, my head hurts. Okay, enough talk. Get some sleep. Okay, good night. I fell asleep within a few minutes. I didn't know how long I slept, but a loud noise woke me up. I couldn't see Mike inside the cabin, so he must be outside. Now I started to worry. Looking into the rifle case, I noticed that one was missing. Is there something wrong? Taking the remaining 30-30 rifle in its case, I loaded it and slowly opened the door. Looking outside, I saw a familiar dark SUV. Crap. Where's Mike? He had to face these scoundrels. I knew I should have left sooner when I thought about it. Now Mike could be injured. The loud noises could have been gunshots. I opened the door even wider, listening, hoping Mike was okay. Moving as quietly as possible, I walked to the corner of the booth, trying to understand what they were saying. Looking around the corner, I saw one of the kidnappers, who offered me water, standing over Mike lying on the ground. In the distance, I saw two more on the ground. Did Mike kill them? If so, why is he still alive? The bad guy asked Mike questions about me. From what I could hear, they hazarded a guess that I was here and weren't happy that Mike wasn't answering questions. When one of them tried to force him to talk by pointing a gun at him, Mike's instincts kicked in and he took the two down. The last guy hit Mike in the head and was going to finish him off, but he still wanted answers to his questions about me. Coming around the corner, I aimed my rifle at the villain. I wasn't going to let him hurt Mike. Looking for me, needless to say, he was surprised to see me aiming a rifle at him, and he was stupid enough to raise his pistol in my direction. I fired, hitting him in the shoulder. I didn't want to kill him. I still needed information about the people who hired him to kidnap me. Rushing towards Mike, I crouched down, asking if he was okay. Mike confirmed that he was fine except for a headache from the impact, but otherwise he was fine. I helped Mike up, supporting him until he came to his senses. Saying that he was fine, we turned our attention to the guy lying on the ground. You have a choice. Tell me who hired you, and we will let you live, or I will kill you right here and now. Your choice, I said, putting the muzzle of the rifle to his head. Oh, he spoke. He gave away everything he knew. Since he was never paid, he had no reason to be faithful. It turns out that a certain group of locals with connections to foreign corporations wanted me to cooperate on the issue of computer equipment that I was selling to the government. Okay, I didn't kill him, but Mike suggested his own method of payback in the form of a little tweaking of his lower limbs. Oh, and he'll have a bad shoulder for the rest of his life, courtesy of me. So we both got our payback. I heard that doctors repaired his knees almost like new, and many years later he walks without a cane. We made a phone call, and the FBI came running. Mike and I spent several days in a secure hospital recovering from our injuries while we were questioned by the feds over the sensitivity of the computers I was selling and the foreign corporations that wanted them. We were left in the same room, and we got to know each other better. We both thanked each other for saving each other's lives. By the end of it, I considered Mike a friend. He was going to let himself be killed just to protect me. This man definitely has character. Because I had saved his life, he was convinced that he was in my debt, although in fact the opposite was true. I was in his debt. We agreed and promised each other to always be there if necessary. I persuaded him to accept a job as a security specialist who would work in the shadow of my company. More precisely, he became my family's bodyguard. His job was to hire people to protect my family and work quietly until certain protocols were activated. I made sure his people were well paid, and so far they haven't needed activation. The kidnapping was hidden from my wife with a simple story about secret negotiations and how I was a complete jerk for not calling her. I knew that the truth would come out sooner or later, so I was ready to accept any reproaches she would make when she returned. Now I needed to talk to the monster. Since I knew what Julie had done, the damage had to be kept to a minimum. I went into his office and closed the door. He looked up at me and saw my state. Boss. Sitting down opposite him, I took a deep breath. Harold. He looked very worried because I never called him by his name. I need your help. What I'm about to tell you about will remain between us until I say otherwise, okay? I wasn't worried about Harold. I knew he would never break trust. There was an unauthorized leak of our classified financial documents to an organized crime group in Peoria, Illinois. That scumbag Hal Johnson was blackmailing my wife, and she was the one who leaked the documents. By now, the information has probably already been sold so it can be traced. We have from 24 to 48 hours to sort it out before I have to get the feds involved, and you know they're going to screw it up when they get here. Boss, are you sure Julie handed over the documents? Yes, unfortunately it is. I confronted her, and she confessed to everything. How did you find out about the leak? I have certain protocols, so to speak, put in place to protect this company, the people in it, and my family. If something goes wrong, I have a hidden group of people who help keep everything under control. I won't say more. I want to. Do you think you can do what I need? I think I can. I might have to involve Susie, if that's okay. You can attract her, but only tell her what she needs to know. How are things going with you and Susie? You know, she's only been here a couple of days, but she has skills that will be very useful to us. Good for you for hiring her. Glad to hear it. Keep me posted, and remember, keep it under wraps as long as you can. When the feds come, you can show them what you found, and hopefully we can save ourselves a lot of stress. Our conversation ended, and I walked down the corridor to my office. Why, I don't know. My family was in hiding so I could keep them safe, and my company was on the brink of disaster. If Monster and Susie can get the financial data from the criminal group, maybe I can save everything. But one thing I know for sure is that Mr. Genahal Johnson will regret attacking my wife. I was almost useless. Couldn't focus on anything other than my family, so I decided to go home and relax. Yes, of course. Amazingly, I made it home without getting into an accident because my thoughts were with Mike and my family. Once inside, I immediately went for a beer. If there was ever a time to drink to excess, it was now. I wasn't drunk, but the refrigerator door was opening too often. It was difficult to sleep, as I was going over in my head every action I had taken since that dinner. Instead of being an active participant, I became a reactive victim. Tomorrow that will change. When I woke up at 6 a.m., I immediately went to the monster's office. I knew he wouldn't leave until everything was back to normal. Opening his door, I saw not only him, but also Susie. They were lying in an embrace on the sofa under a blanket. All I could do was smile. I knew it wouldn't take them long to figure it out, just like me. To wake them up, I cleared my throat, and it worked on the first try. Both embarrassedly realized that I was standing there, and they were in each other's arms. Hearing the predictable apologies from both of them, I had a hard time holding back my laughter. It looks like you two have been here all night. Yes, boss, we worked until 3 in the morning and just needed a few hours of sleep. We made progress, and we're going to report back to you to see how you wanted to handle this. Okay, you two. Why don't I buy you breakfast, and you can tell me what you have? I also have a plan that I think will cause some people serious problems before we finish. Let's go. Walking into my favorite cafe, I asked if I could come in after the incident yesterday when I hit that idiot. I was hoping they would still let me in because I really like their food. Mary, who owns the place and is always there for breakfast, just smiled and told me to shut up, sit down, and spend my money. Did I tell you that I like this place? During the meal, Monster and Susie confirmed my information from my covert surveillance, and everything had been quiet for the past couple of weeks. Ever since Hal Johnson came to town, there had been rumors that the finances of a certain computer company might be sold if the price was right, and idiots were using the same cafe for meetings. Okay, get ready with the information you have. I'm expecting a full report for the feds, so don't relax, I smiled, adding, I don't want my two resident computer geeks to embarrass me. After that, ask everyone to stop what they are doing and wait for me in the conference room. I need to talk to the store. Of course, boss. They left me to enjoy my coffee, waiting to see what would happen next. Just when I thought it was safe to return to the cafe, he appeared. The person I least expected to be here was Hal. You don't mind if I call you by your name, do you? I feel like we're almost like friends, you know. I own a company that you want to destroy, I have a family that you want to take away from me, and by the end of the day, we will both have a crime family that wants to kill us. By the way, how's your nose? You're funny. You know full well it's broken. What the hell do you mean? The family will want to kill me. In a few minutes, everything I have in this family will be turned over to the FBI, and most likely, instead of RICO crimes, they will be looking at Patriot Act violations. Can you say Guantanamo? Do you really think they will forget about you? I doubt it. I will definitely enjoy watching you when this is all over. With a puffy, twisted smile, they expected the FBI to be watching them. They're not stupid, you know. Do you have any idea how many agents are on their payroll? They have everyone watching them on a daily basis and a few people in FBI headquarters. They're covered. Maybe, but not with the people I'm dealing with. You have no idea what you did, convincing them to attack my wife. Just so you know how I play, right now a sniper has his crosshairs pointed directly at your heart. Just don't panic, and you will stay alive after this cup of coffee. I took the phone and told them to show him a spot on his chest. He looked down and saw a small red dot located right on his chest. Now you think I'm kidding? I'm feeling generous today, so if you stop what you're doing and talk to the FBI agents I choose, you may be protected and have a better chance of survival. His face lost all color when he realized that a sniper was targeting him. He ran out of the cafe. I was still on the phone. Let him go. He made his choice. Mary reprimanded me again for disrupting the atmosphere of her cafe by chasing away her customers. Sorry, Mary, I don't think he appreciated the breakfast, but you know I always like your food, I said with a big smile. Returning to the office, I found the report from Monster and Susie sitting on my desk. I had everything I needed to call the man in Washington. But first I had to call Mike. Is everything okay? Is my family safe? You're really asking me that, aren't you? Sorry, Mike, you know I'm worried about them. I know. But don't worry, my best friends are here. The kids were scared when we picked them up from school yesterday, but Julie calmed them down after a few minutes. In the background, I heard Julie asking Mike if he was talking to me, and if so, let her talk to me right now. Here she is, my wife. She can be a persistent beauty. Dennis, is that you? Are you okay? Talk to me, damn it. Julie, calm down. I'm fine. A lot happened here this morning. I scared your boyfriend, and I don't think he's going to like the ending. He's not my boyfriend. How many times do I have to tell you this? Dennis, I don't have a boyfriend. Please, please believe me. Sorry, it was a Freudian slip. Your old boyfriend made a choice, and I don't think he will survive the storm he caused over us, especially after the family deals with him. I don't care about him, only you and the girls matter. When can we go home? Soon, but there's one more thing to do before that. Now just relax and enjoy the quiet. Mike is a great storyteller. Julie, he's one of the good ones. Nothing will happen to you and the girls while you're there with him. I'll stay, but not for long. I need to fix everything I've done, and we need to mend our relationship. Saving the company is my job now. We'll mend fences when you get back, and I expect that to involve some serious skin-to-skin contact. Oh, Dennis, thank you for giving me another chance, even though I didn't deserve it. I love you. And I love you, Julie. Now tell the girls I love them when they wake up and give the phone to Mike. Mike is here. Mike, your people have discovered that FBI agents are working for the family, so keep an eye on things in case they somehow find out about our protocols. I'll bring extra people here just in case. Sounds good. Be careful, Mike. After hanging up the phone, I sat back in my chair and looked at what happened today. My family is well off, and they are safer than gold in Fort Knox. The company is closed, and I have a small army watching over my employees. The National Security Agency must take down the FBI agents and the crime family. So what did I miss? Oh yeah, bastard. But before he gets what he deserves, I'll make him nervous for a couple of days. There was nothing for me to do in my office, so I walked around the building, looking at the empty rooms, devoid of the people who make this place successful, and wondering if this was the end, if I would lose everything because of someone's greed. Thinking back to the beginning of this company and the struggles I faced in the beginning, barely making enough money to pay rent. If it weren't for the good people in this city who helped me, I would never have made it through. I owe everything to these people. I owe so much to the people who work here. I found new resolve and made a promise. There's no way I'm going to lose it all. I closed my store, turned off the lights, and drove home, giving myself one night to relax and one night so the National Security Agency could, if not eliminate, at least reduce the family and the corrupt FBI agents. Thank God my family is safe. I pulled into the garage and immediately went for a beer. Red Bridge gluten-free beer actually tastes better than it looks, but I can only afford to drink it once in a while. I wanted some quiet time, but I didn't want my bodyguards sitting in a car outside when they could be in the house and feel comfortable. So I called them, "Yes, gentlemen. Why don't you come inside? There's no need to sit in the car when I'm alone in this big house. Come in and make yourself at home and get something to eat. We don't want to be intrusive." "Come on, are you kidding me? You guys are keeping me alive. Come in." "Thank you, sir. We'll be right there." What the hell? Then I heard a knock. Guys, guys, can you hear me? Guys, damn, something's wrong." I ran to the window to see what was happening, and what I saw scared me. An SUV carrying my bodyguards collided with a truck. There was steam coming from under the hood, there were shards of glass on the ground, and the movement of my guys was not visible. I knew they were injured, and I needed to call for help. I called 911 and reported the incident with the location and ran outside to help them. Something told me not to go outside, but I had to do it. These guys were willing to risk their lives for me, so I would do the same for them. As I approached the SUV, I saw both of them sitting in their seats with their heads bowed, but their seat belts holding them upright. I saw them breathing, thank God. I heard sirens approaching. Okay, these guys will be fine. Then everything went dark. I woke up tied to a chair. Again. "Hello, sunshine. Did you sleep well?" And the next moment he hit me in the face. "Hal, damn it. Well, good morning to you." The next thing was a blow to the face. "Answer, huh? Come on, try again. You didn't break my nose." He did it. "It hurts." "It's okay. I have the money to fix it." That damn partition was still giving me problems. "So what's the reason for enjoying your company?" "You know why. The family is on the run, and taking you was their last attempt to save my life. If I deliver you to them, they can take revenge on you, and I will have another chance to pay off my debts." "Mike, he's gone." "What? How is that gone? What happened?" "Our men were in a car that was rammed by a truck, and they lost consciousness. Apparently, Mr. Golden called an ambulance and went outside to check if everything was okay, and he was kidnapped. Our guys were delivered to the hospital. They will be fine, but they both had minor concussions. The doctors refused to let them go, so they stole the doctors' coats and left. I took them with me. What should we do?" "I'm on my way. Stay put and let these guys get some rest, because when I arrive, it will be time to act." During the phone call, Julie was outside practicing shooting with the Glock pistol Mike had given her to use. She turned out to be a quick learner and did quite well. She seems to have natural talent. "Julie." She turned around and saw the worry on his face. "What happened?" "Someone took Dennis and sent his guards to the hospital. I need to go." "You will take me with you." "What the hell? No, you stay here. My husband is in danger, and it's all because of me. I'm coming. The girls will be safe here, and I'll be safe with you. I can't let anything happen to my husband, so let's go." After a simplified explanation to the girls, Mike and Julie set off. Only 2 people knew I had a tracking device implanted. This was what I did after my first kidnapping. It hurt at first, but I quickly got used to it. A helicopter was waiting for them at the local airport, saving them hours on the road. The tracking device was kept in my office, and besides me, only Mike knew the combination to the safe it was in. Upon landing at the local airport, Mike and Julie met my wounded guards and their replacements. "You guys are okay?" "Yes, boss, we can handle it." "Take us to the company. I need to pick up something." Mike told Julie about the in-flight tracking chip and how my entire family's electronic devices had tracking devices. So if my children or wife are kidnapped and held for ransom, I can find them before something bad happens. She didn't like that I kept an eye on them so much, but she understood that I would do anything to keep them safe. Once they reached the company, Julie and Mike went inside to get the tracker. Julie couldn't believe Mike knew the security code, had the keys, and knew about the secret safe in my office, so she asked him about it. "Mike, why do you have so much access to everything?" "Julie, this is part of the protocols that Dennis has set up. We have thought through every possible eventuality and prepared action plans to save life and limb. Only I and the person from the National Security Agency know about this." Mike took the tracker out of the safe and turned it on. He was shocked that the signal was not detected. "This shouldn't have happened. This has never happened before. Even a room with lead walls can't block the signal. He might have been damaged if he got hit in the head too hard." "Why would it hurt him?" "It's in his head. In his sinuses, to be precise." "Mike, we have no time to waste. I'm going to call the monster and make him come here. If anyone knows how to fix this, it's him," Julie said. A quick call from Julie had the monster arrive at the office within minutes. Susie came too. Julie knew that with these two computer geniuses on our side, only good things could happen. Mike explained the device, the tracking chip, the signal frequency and type, and within minutes they were able to get a weak signal from my chip after they intercepted a military spy satellite. Julie knew the area. A small abandoned industrial area used for metal casting, about 10 miles from town. They all went to the signal. Mike was worried because he had taken too many unarmed people with him to worry about, but he knew he couldn't go without Julie, and he might need Monster and Susie again if the signal needed to be returned. Upon reaching the area, Mike's stress levels rose because not only did he have to worry about a large number of unarmed people, but there were also several cars around the building where I was being held. It seems that some of the family managed to get out of Peoria and wanted to take revenge, which the scumbag offered them. Mike gave strict orders for Julie, Monster, and Susie to stay in the SUV while he and his men went after me. Not knowing how many people were inside, Mike decided to attack from all sides. His men were professionals and the rescue operation was well executed. What Mike didn't know was that the family had only been there for about 15 minutes and were indeed on the run from the NSA and wanted to let me know how unhappy they were with the whole situation. The heads of the family escaped through a tunnel only they knew about to a waiting car. The bastard called them after they left the city to tell them that he had me and was waiting for their instructions. When they found out that I was available for a private conversation, they changed plans. Mexico could have waited a little longer until they got some comeuppance. The head of the family, named Milo, was not a big man, but he used his influence to the maximum level. To his credit, he had FBI agents in his pocket, but all good things must come to an end. He shouldn't have taken on me. Big mistake. Mr. Peace Golden, I had my doubts when Mr. Johnson proposed the idea of forcing you to make a deal. Something told me not to do this, and for the first time since I became the head of the family, I did it. Don't listen to this voice, and look where it got me. Some of us are dead. The FBI agents that were on my payroll are dead or arrested and will never see freedom again. I had to transfer all my wealth from the US abroad. Bill, and now I have to live in Mexico. And all because this idiot couldn't control himself. I wasn't sure how much time I had left, and I promised to make Hal Johnson pay for ruining my happiness, so I said, "Sounds like you have a problem. Why don't you solve it? How will killing him solve my problem with you? I'll just leave you alone. I'll call off the feds and let you live a quiet life in Mexico." He thought it was funny and almost burst out laughing. If I change the goal, I will live a quiet life anyway. No, in fact, you will be pursued and my private army will find you and your family. Do you know why you are here? You are here because certain protocols were established after my first abduction, and because of what I do for the government, I had to agree that if I or my company were compromised, then the defense is. All external threats are literally destroyed. Life in Mexico will not protect you unless you stop now and give up. It wasn't the FBI in Peoria, it was the NSA. If you live, Guantanamo will be your resting place for the rest of your life. You're bluffing. You don't have that kind of power. Unfortunately, I have. Plus, I have a tracking device implanted, and it's only a matter of time before my men come shooting. So please finish with him and surrender. Around this time, Mike and his men were ready to enter the building and held fire until he fired the first shot. Besides Milo, there were 5 other people in the small room where I was kept. 3 stood close to me, 1 stood behind Milo, and Hal was at the door leading outside. Mike had just walked through the door with Hal standing next to him. I looked at him and smiled. Told you so. He paused, waiting to see if he would be next. The 4 men pointed the muzzles of their rifles at him. Decide, Milo. He chose. Outside, Julie heard gunshots and tried to get out of the SUV. Even though the monster and Susie were holding her, she broke free and ran to the nearest door. Mike was trying to untie me when Julie threw herself into my lap, sobbing and hugging me tightly. I was shocked to see her here and more than a little annoyed with Mike. You and I will talk again when we get home, Mike, okay? Yes, Dennis, I know, but I had no choice. What, you can't handle one little woman? Please, as if you could ever control her. I know better. I couldn't help but laugh because it was true. Mike and his men were checking to see how much damage they had done to the bandits when we heard the hammer of a revolver being cocked. Asshole. He was holding a revolver pointed directly at me. I was about to turn to Julie to protect her when I heard 2 shots, too close to be from Mike and his men. Julie? I don't know how, but before anyone could react, Julie pulled out her Glock and shot her ex-boyfriend twice. I took the gun from Julie's hand, still shocked by what she had just done. Are you okay? Don't know. Who gave you the weapon? Stupid question since I already knew the answer. Mike. I know, we'll talk. Mike, get Julie out of here now. She doesn't need to see this. As I pushed her towards the door, Julie, go now. I literally pushed Julie towards Mike as he was dragging her out of the building. Some people never take responsibility for their actions. I could hardly understand how it all happened. Recently, I was an incredibly happy person. I had my own company that made good money, a wife who loved me, and my children were happy and healthy. Looks like I had it all. This explains why they tried to take all this away from me. Turning around, I headed towards the exit towards my crying wife. I think the shock was starting to get to her. As I walked out the door, she pulled away from Mike and hugged me tightly, sobbing into my chest. All I could do was give her the opportunity to deal with it. I looked at the SUV where Monster and Susie were holding hands, tears in their eyes as they watched me and Julie. The look I gave Mike. Yeah, I know, we're going to have a conversation. I whispered, Julie, Julie. She raised her head and looked at me. Let's go home. Mike, call the feds to clean this up, okay? And have 2 of us stay with us in case any of Milo's people are still here. Certainly. Harold, Susie, get in the car. It's time to go home. And that's what we did. I was able to reopen the company within a week. The financial information was taken off the market, and any interested parties trying to buy it received a personal visit from the guys. The same guys found all the information safe and sound on the computers in Milo's office. God bless. Julie took it to heart after I asked the monster to install an extra layer of security in the accounting department, but she realized it was necessary and forgave me. The monster and Susie declared their love for each other and got married a year later. I paid for their honeymoon. They had 3 children, 2 girls and a boy, all little geniuses just like them. They were married for 53 years before cancer took Harold. He was often visited at the hospice by not-so-little Mary, who never forgot the big man who made her smile when she was very sick. Susie was lost without her monster and followed him 7 months after his death. Mike and we actually talked. I screamed at him, "Don't ever do that again." Then I hugged him for protecting me and my family, writing him into my will and giving him and his people a promotion. Bethany and Carla came home and I told them everything. They were teenagers and old enough to know the truth. Yes, I was on their blacklist for a while. Bethany continued to date Paul and eventually married him. They gave us a grandson who turned out to be the smartest child I have ever seen. Carla was still trying to find her way and hoped to one day find the happiness she deserves. Julie sometimes had nightmares, but they quickly subsided thanks to therapy. It took us longer for Julie and I to get over her mistrust of me, but she saved my life, so it wasn't hard to forgive her. She stayed true to her vows, and she was genuinely scared when Hal blackmailed her, so I knew she deserved a second chance. I'm not perfect, and I know she would offer me the same forgiveness. The pain I felt over her mistrust and fear of her alleged affair was harder to let go of than I expected. She kept apologizing, and although I accepted her apology, I didn't let her get off easy. I truly love my wife and thank God for her every day.